I got a call the other day from the great Grant Hill, with my former teammate, a good friend, someone I think the world of, who's now, what is Grant's title of USAB? Is it president, CEO?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
But basically running
Yeah.
USAB,
Yeah.
trying to keep that world supremacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a tricky task, but
Hell of a job this past summer too.
Yeah.
Last summer. Yep, great job.
But he called me up and he said, he's been listening to the pod, he's enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I was like, clearly not busy enough, G. But, one thing he said to me was that he was really impressed with your voice this summer, your leadership. He also said you were the first to meetings, first on the bus. I don't want to make you sound like a goody two shoes here, but I will say from a coaching perspective, when your best player, most famous player, most kind of accredited player sets that standard every day, there's a trickle down.
Yeah.
There's a care factor. There's a priority placed on what we're doing. Maybe just talk a little bit about where that comes from. Like, where does that desire to be there, be early?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I was born into it for some odd reason. Like I've always had a feeling of like I don't like being late to anything. It was always like I feel like it's like a disrespectful thing. My stomach starts to hurt a little bit.
Anxiety.
Like my anxiety starts to ramp up if I'm late or tardy. It happened when I was even like in like elementary school. Like, if the bell rung and before I was in my chair, like I guess my whole day would be messed up. And when I started to play sports, I always wanted to be at practice early.
Did that come from your mom? A part of that, was that just something innate in you, the way you were wired?
I didn't pick it up from my mom. I don't think so. Like, I don't think I picked it up from my mom. I think I was just born that way. I've always been like, my anxiety, I can't function right when I'm late. And it's stuck with me throughout my, obviously till now I'm 40 years old, but when I started playing organized sports, it was like the perfect match, like for me, because like, it's like, if you're not on time to practice, you're gonna have to run. Like I played football first, Little League football. Like if you didn't run, you have to run sprints or you have to run gashers or 17s. And I know football people out there, they know exactly what those are, and that shit is punishment. You do not want to be late to a football practice and have to run, gashers or 17s or hundreds. I never, unless like, I didn't have the means like to, my mom didn't have a car when we were growing up, and so. If I was late because of someone picking me up late or whatever the case may be, and I couldn't control that, even though I was still having anxiety about being late, some things I couldn't control. But like, to hear Grant say those words, man, and it's just always been in me, man. And, I feel like, especially when you start playing sports and you're around other people, and as you get older and older and older, and you go from little league to middle school ball to high school ball, and if it's either college or the professionals, wherever you are, I think I've always looked at it as like a disrespect to, the people that you're working with. You're late. You're disrespecting other people's time, and I never felt good about that. And I didn't, what other people do, that's what other people do, but for me personally, like being on time has always been being late. To me. Yeah. So to be able to get the places early and like, I didn't know what was setting the tone for the rest of the group, whatever stage that was. But to be there on time, I felt like it was late and I wanted to be there extra early, talk to the coaches, this past summer, when we was in, for the Olympic team, being able to, the coaches are always going to be there a little bit early. They talk about what they want to do tonight versus the opponents or practice. I get there early and just kind of, watch the film or talk to them and see what was going on. And then the guys start trickling in and coming in. But it's just always kind of been me.
Mm-hmm. Well, when teammates start trickling in and they see you're there time and time again early, it does set a standard. It also shows them how much you care, right? I think that's really important, like for everyone to recognize, like, oh, this means a lot to Bron.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? What about the voice? It's another part of leadership. He was really impressed with how you use your voice and how willing you were, whether it's film, shoot around, on the bench. He just was impressed. Like, talk me through where that
came from.
One, like, you probably wasn't there for rookie year, right?
Nah.
Like maybe high school, it was of course natural, but you move into a new league and then you have to find your voice as a player. What's the evolution there?
I was a class clown, and
so you weren't always a brown nose.
No. That only started the last couple of years. I was a class clown and a jokester, and I still am today. Like all my people know I love laughing and joking and things of that nature, and so I think that's where the kind of the voice stemmed from. But when I started playing sports, like some of my little league coaches said, okay, you need to use that to an advantage, of playing the sport too, and helping some of the other kids out with your voice that may not feel confident in their ability to talk or maybe don't want to talk. And, and then I got into high school and, my high school coaches would tell me like the best thing about you besides your skill, whatever the case may be, is your voice. Being able to, call out plays before they happen, call out our sets when we were coming down, be in the back line of the defense. We ran a lot of press, in high school, and I would be on the second line of the press, so I could shoot the gaps and things like that, get steals of that nature. And so I was the one kind of calling out the sets. If it was like, we had 12 and 21, and 12 was half court press. 21 was full court press. So I was always calling out those sets. And even when I was like a freshman, it was me and Maverick. Maverick was our senior captain, but, I was the one, like my voice was kind of the loudest, even as a 14-year-old freshman. And, that went all the way into my senior year. My voice was always, commanding and, and just knowing what was going on the floor, and it helped our team. We was able to win 3 state championships in 4 years, and I seen how it translated. It kind of slowed down a little bit my rookie year in the NBA, not because the voice wasn't there, it's just because I felt like, okay, I need to sit back and soak in knowledge and learn and just see, when was my voice going to be needed? I didn't want to go in there just like when I was the number 1 player in the country my senior year, but I knew when I got drafted, I was number 450. That's how I looked at it. I was like, okay, so how can I get back to number 1 like I did when I was a freshman to my senior year? How can I get back to number 1? And I felt like it wasn't gonna be me talking. I needed to soak in the knowledge. I needed to learn. I needed to earn it, and I think when Mike Brown,
I just like everyone out there to hear that. LeBron James came in the NBA and thought, I need to earn it. Yeah. That, like, hold on. We don't see enough of that anymore.
I definitely came in with I'm 450. Let's start from 450. The last player in the league. Not saying that I was, but that was my mindset. How can I gain back to number 1? And then when Mike Brown took over our team, a couple years after I think it was my 3rd year, maybe my 4th year. He was a defensive-minded coach. Big time defensive-minded coach, and he would hear me speak in practices, or like in the summer we'd come in and play, and he would hear me, hear my voice. My voice was, very commanding. And he was like, in order for us to be, one of the best defensive teams in the league up there with San Antonio and Detroit and some of the better teams, I'm going to need your voice. I'm going to need it. And from there on, I was able to do what I did best. It wasn't something I needed to learn. It was something I had, but now I was able to use that to our advantage, and it's just from year 3 to year 22, it's been here.
Growing.
Yeah, it's been here. Yeah.